What's up, traders? This is Vee Trades, and today I will be doing a technical analysis breakdown for a strategy with the ticker symbol MSTR. I will first be going over what I see in the daily chart and finish the video off with the weekly chart. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please trade at your own risk. So another down day for MSTR. Tell me something that's new. This is kind of old news at this point. Basically hit an all-time low of this downtrend, right, that it started back here last year in late November of 2024. So, we hit 155. My target was right around the 150 level. The measure move target is right around 143, 144. So this might be close enough to finally get a bounce out of here, maybe towards the 230s. There were some people in my prior video who thought I was turning bullish. They completely missed the point of the video. I think most of the people understood, but obviously there's going to be some ignorant people who don't really understand much. They're going to keep on thinking that I'm switching my bias. I believe this has a 2% chance of hitting the all-time high, which means that we basically have seen a top this year and this cycle. I'm looking for a bottom between $100 and $50. So that is my analysis for the long term for the stock. I was just doing a theoretical. If we did bottom now or at the measured target, where can we go from there if it were to start reversing up? And I gave probabilities based on that. I think most people got it, but obviously there's some slow people who don't really understand much and just want to cause trouble. But yeah, they don't really understand anything. But anyway, I just wanted to go over that last video, what it was for, right? It was just to go over the bullish case because I've been going over the bearish case practically for several months now. And, I was just kind of playing devil's advocate and looking for maybe, the potential upside opportunities for the stock, which is near non-existent. Anyway, let's take a look at MSTR. It finally bottomed, well, potentially bottomed today. It does look like a good candle. It looks like a reversal candle, but am I going to be buying something randomly like this? No. This is still in a downtrend, very sharp downtrend. And as of right now, the downtrend has not been invalidated basically since, October, right? It's been going down pretty nicely, aggressively since October. And at the current pace, it can get to $100 by the end of the year, even $50 by the end of the year, right? The current pace that is on, it's been very strong. It's pretty much just a straight move down. It can get to about $100 probably by the end of the month, maybe even a couple weeks, right? I love how people say, we can't get to $100 or $50. I really love those comments because you're going to learn a lesson, right? Like I learned the lesson a long time ago with a smaller amount of money. And now, when I have bigger amounts in the market, I'm not making these big, blow ups, right, in my capital because I learned these lessons when I had, less money, right, in college, early 20s. Now it's way different. So a lot of people who are giving market guarantees such as, we can't stay below a MNAV of 1 for extended period. We're not going to go to $50. We're not going to go to $20. I really love to see those comments because you're going to learn a lesson, right? Either you learn it the easy way or the hard way. You're going to learn it one way or another. The market doesn't really care what you think. It's going to do what it wants to do. And giving it a guarantee is just going to, maybe make you realize and wake you up that, there's no guarantees in the market. So, I really love those comments because, I really like to see people learn the lesson. So you're going to learn your lesson that, this stock, can get really low, a lot lower than you believe or wanted to. And it doesn't really care how you feel about it, right? So it hit 155 today. I don't think that's the bottom. Can we see a bounce all the way up to the 230s? Yes. But I don't think this is the bottom, right? Bitcoin's kind of in trouble right now, and that bear market has not even started at all. And this stock is already down 70% from its all-time high. High to low, current price, 70%, right? A stock that's bullish does not drop 70%. So you can just ignore any bull cases from now on. All we're looking for as the only bullish analysis you can make at this point is how high a pullback can go. You can't even say we're going to make a new high or even go up from there. So if I'm looking at the stock, I'm just going to be looking for okay, where can it pull back to at this point, right? Where is the highest point before it reverses back down? Right now it's 230s, 234. That's the prior breakout level. After that, you're looking at lower probabilities of 320s and 360s. That's a much lower probability. Unless Bitcoin can do a miracle and just rock it off from right now, I don't think MSTR is going to be able to pull it off. So, I don't think this is the bottom. It's a nice looking candle. It's a nice bounce off the all-time lows of the downtrend, but it's just a technical bounce, right? People aren't really, traders who look at the market, they're not really bullish on the stock right now, right? They're looking for shorts. And basically, if you shorted any time, you would have made money, right? Today was the lowest point I ever got in the downtrend. You could have shorted any time, close your eyes, put a short on, buy a put, whatever, and you would have made money. Pretty impressive of the strength of the downtrend. Looking at Bitcoin, as you can see here, it's right at this bullish trend line, which is not a good sign, right? It took about 7 trading days to get up to about $92,000, and then a few days just to take it all back, right? So not bullish at all, but it's still not over till it's over. We're still making a significant higher low. So this was a low. This is still a significant higher low, and it's like a double test of the trend line. Maybe traders want to see confirmation before we rocket up higher. That could be the case, or it's just bouncing and then, going to roll over to the downside. As of right now, the downtrend is still in play, right? So there's a downtrend right here, and obviously there's a macro uptrend. So you have two trends you need to look at. You have an uptrend and a downtrend at the same time. And right about here is where they're battling it out, right? Is the downtrend going to be able to break that uptrend, or is the uptrend going to be able to break that downtrend? We don't know what will happen in the future, so we're watching it closely. As right now, it looks like the downtrend probably will break through that uptrend, but it's not guaranteed yet. It's not confirmed either, because we're still being supported by that upward sloping trend line. So this is the nice macro uptrend in play for Bitcoin. If this were to bottom out over here, this may do something like this, right? So let me take a look at what happened historically. We made a significant low back over here in August of 2024. We made a higher low, and then we rocketed up higher. Are we doing the same thing again? It's not out of the question, right? It's not out of the question. Let's go ahead and copy those bars and drag it over. You take that low, drag it up to the high. So are we doing something like this, some sort of higher low, and then move up higher into like March, April of next year into the $140,000 level? Possibly, right? A lot of people are sure this all-time high. And it definitely looks convincing based on time and the amount of drop we have seen. It's a very sharp drop. It's one of the most sharpest drops we have seen in this entire uptrend, and the largest drop. So that's not a good sign, right? Sharpest and largest drop, 35, 36% from the high. Yeah, that's not a good sign. But I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. Why? Because we're still being supported by this upward sloping trend line. It's still showing, the uptrend is still in play. That's why I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. But, give it maybe towards the end of the year, you'll probably have a confirmed top. I'm not even adding to my position any longer. I'm just going to wait till, we get a new low in this potential bear market. And that's if we got it. If not, well, I'll benefit either way because I already have a position on. So it doesn't really matter if it goes up or down. I'm willing to wait it out. If it drops, looking for about $40,000, that's about a 70% drop, maybe even 39,000. And we can get there pretty quickly. We've been dropping pretty harshly. If you just extrapolate the trend out, I mean, we can get to $50,000 by the end of the year. That's how bearish this downtrend is. So we'll see what happens. It's very close to like game over for Bitcoin, but hanging on there. We'll see if it really wants to make a higher low or not. Volatility is going up. So this is kind of favoring the bears. As soon as we see a bounce, the volatility just dries up. But when Bitcoin starts crashing, volatility starts going up. So it looks like we're going to see increased volatility throughout the end of the year, which means maybe that is favoring the downside more, right? Because we haven't really seen any big green candles at all, right? They're pretty much non-existent. I think the last time we saw a big green candle was back here on October 1st. That was about a $114,000. Let me see, from the low to the high, that was about a $5,000 candle, $4,500 candle. And since then, we haven't really seen that many big green candles. And we've seen mostly big red candles, right? Today, price dropped from 90,000 to about 83. That's a $6,500 drop, right? About 90,000 to about 84,000, give or take a couple $100. So look at the strength the bears have. And then the ratio between Bitcoin's price divided by MSTR's price still showing outperformance, right? We can go and move the arrow. It looks like it's still moving up sharply in this uptrend, which means that Bitcoin will continue to outperform MSTR as of right now. So you can see how well it's working its way up. And the trend is just getting more and more steeper. So both of them are pretty much going down. It just means that Bitcoin is not going to go down as much, which is really not that helpful. And then gold's price divided by Bitcoin's price, it made a new high right? We made a new high of the trend. So I was expecting a top out here, but look how strong the bulls are. We're still being supported by the bullish trend line. So as long as we're still above this bullish trend line, I don't think the rotation into Bitcoin is going to occur. It might not even occur at all. But anyway, this chart is showing us that, people are still, wanting to hold on to gold more than buying Bitcoin, right? They're not rotating into Bitcoin at all. And, this chart shows immense strength, and it might not even top out for a while. We'll see what happens. We're still below this prior low right here at 0.05249. But, it probably will break that out, if Bitcoin starts sliding down lower in the future. So Bitcoin, not over till it's over, but definitely a lot of red flags on the chart. MSTR bouncing up. Best thing you could do is just look for how high the pullback can go, because obviously this is a bear market, right? You don't drop 70% and still be saying it's a bull market, because obviously that would be really wrong. So definitely not a bull market. It's a bear market. We dropped 70%. We're just looking for, you guys are looking for a retracement. I'm going to give you a potential target. It would be right around the 230s. Me personally, I am waiting to buy, at least probably toward $100 would be nice. And I'm not going to just buy blindly, right? I'm going to look at the price action, see if it actually looks like it's bottoming out, see where Bitcoin is at, see where the market is at. I'm not going to just blindly buy the stock at $100 when, the market S&P 500 hasn't even started crashing yet, right? S&P 500, gold, silver, they're all going for the blow off tops, while these stocks are, in a bear market. And those major indices, major companies like Apple, Google, those haven't even started crashing yet. What's going to happen then, right? So you have to look at, everything holistically. Just because it gets to a price level that's nice, $100 or even $50, it doesn't mean much. I want to look for bottoming signals, kind of like right here. Like, let's just go look at historical price action, right? How did we know this was a bottom? Well, it dropped 90%, right? From the high to the low, it dropped 90%. And then look what happened. It kind of just formed a trading range, right? We just kind of started trading sideways. That's how you know we're pretty much near the bottom, when price can't really go up or down, or, most importantly, down. It's just kind of just bouncing around, hovering. That's how you know that, okay, this is pretty much the end of a downtrend. And then you can look for confirmation, such as, a break of a trend line. You take it off the highs. Like, right, see how price was still kind of getting rejected from the trend line here. Once it broke it, we started making higher highs, higher lows, right? Once this trend line was broken, we started making higher highs and higher lows. You take this trend line from the peak, you take it to this peak right here, 1, 2, and then we got rejected here and here. And then right when that trend line was broken, price could never come back down to this prior low. So that would tell you we're very close near the lows, right? It basically double tested the prior low, broke the trend line. Okay, this is the time to, all right, really focus on the stock. So same thing right here, right? It's the same type of situation. Wait for a confirmation, some sort of trend line or whatever, showing a change in market direction, and then go from there. But that's why I have this box here for a while now. I think we'll probably see some sort of range pattern near the lows, just like we did last cycle. Obviously, these are all theories, right? And it doesn't have to happen. We can bottom right now and never come back to this price level again. But what are the chances, right? Really, like, what is the chances, right? You're telling me Bitcoin's bottoming out and never coming back down lower. You're telling me that the market's not overheated. You're telling me that 70%, we're just going to recover that, within a few months. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to be the one buying the stock, right? You can buy the stock. I already got out 370s. I can put in double, right? The same amount of capital to get the double amount of shares, right? Same thing right now. Let's say you bought right now 170, and it actually goes to half of that, right? Which is what? 180 is $90. Let's say it gets to $90. Well, if you put in 5K, you could have bought double the amount of shares with that 5K at $90, which looks pretty probable, of occurring. So we'll see what happens for Bitcoin and MSTR. MSTR is toast. I'm just looking for a pullback, a technical pullback. And that's asking for a lot as right now, as we have not seen any significant pullbacks. Bitcoin, borderline done, right? Borderline having a top. It's just barely being defended by the trend line. Looking for a break of the bearish trend line. If you can do something it has done before, which is out of the low back here in August into September and even April into like June or May, that would be nice, right? Either one of these pushes up would be really nice. It'll change the tide, especially after even these other prior moves lower. It took a while before to go up, right? We kind of had like a triple bottom here, higher low, and then it rallied. We kind of had a triple bottom right here, a significant low, trap, and then a rally. So I guess, it might play around right here for a little bit if it really wants to go up, just like the last 2 times. So see what happens. Bitcoin, it's still bullish, right? Until it's not. And as right now, it's still bullish long term, barely hanging on by a thread. MSTR not bullish at all. Basically, just be happy to get a pullback, maybe to the 230s. I'm open to invalidation. If we start pumping up higher towards $300-400, okay, something completely changed for the stock, but I don't see that happening anytime soon. So all I have today is Vee Trades, and thank you for your time.